Good evening, guys. Now, this evening's topic B is diabetes remission in an aging body. Okay, that is the title. Okay, and the title for the essay is The Diagnosis That Arrives Late in Life. Okay, here is the narrative essay I made for you. Please enjoy. Harold was 72 when diabetes entered his life, not with a crash, but with a whisper. His doctor delivered the news gently, the way clinicians often do with older adults. She explained the numbers, the medications, the lifestyle changes. Harold nodded, polite and attentive, though his mind drifted into the errands he still needed to run that afternoon. He folded the paper with his lab results and tucked it into the side pocket of his jacket, a small gesture, almost ceremonial. He didn't tell his wife right away. He didn't call his daughter. He didn't sit down and search the internet for answers. He simply went home, made a cup of tea, and stared out the kitchen window at the maple tree he had planted for 40 years. Earlier, the tree had grown tall and sturdy, its branches reaching toward the sky with a confidence Harold no longer felt. "I've lived through worse," he finally said aloud, though no one else was there to hear him. But privately, he felt something else, something older adults rarely articulate, a sense of being calmed by a disease he had watched reshape the lives of friends and neighbors, a sense that his body had crossed a threshold he could not uncross. He did what older adults often do. He followed instructions. He took the metformin. He cut back on sweets. He walked more. He checked his glucose, though not as often as his doctor wanted. And for a while, that was enough. The slow creep of change. Diabetes in older adults is a quiet, persistent companion. It does not roar. It settles. Harold noticed he was more tired. He stopped going fishing because the walk down the creek felt longer. He began skipping breakfast, then lunch, because his appetite was fading. He lost weight at first, intentionally, then unintentionally. His doctor praised his the weight loss. His daughter said he looked thin. His neighbor told him he looked younger. But Harold felt weaker. He didn't have a word for it then. But what he was feeling was the early edge of frailty, the kind that hides inside weight loss, the kind that steals muscle before anyone notices. He began to wonder if this was simply what aging felt like, a slow surrender, a narrowing of the world. The conversation that changed everything. It was his new primary care doctor, a younger woman with a calm voice, who finally asks the question no one else had asked. Harold, do you feel strong? He hesitated. No, he said, not really. She nodded, not surprised. Let's talk about what we're actually trying to do here. She explained that diabetes in older adults behaves differently, that remission was possible, that weight loss could help, but only if it preserved muscle, that newer medications could quiet the disease without draining his strength, that the goal wasn't perfection or numbers or chasing youth. The goal was agency, the ability to live the life he recognized as his own. She talked about incretin therapies that could help him lose weight safely. She talked about resistance training to rebuild muscle. She talked about Mediterranean eating that nourished rather than restricted. She talked about deprescribing, the possibility of reducing medications if his numbers improved. Harold listened. For the first time since his diagnosis, he felt something like hope. The work of reclaiming a body. The plan was simple, but not easy. He started a GLP-1 medication that steadied his appetite without erasing it. He met with a dietitian who taught him how to eat enough protein to rebuild what he had lost. He worked with a physical therapist who showed him how to lift tight weights without hurting his joints. He learned to drink water before he felt thirsty. He learned to rest without giving up. And slowly, very slowly, his body began to change. His legs felt steadier. His hands felt stronger. His walks grew longer. His appetite returned in a small, manageable ways. He began to feel like someone who could choose his future rather than simply endure it. 3 months later, his HbA1c fell below 6.5. 6 months later, he stopped his diabetes medications. 9 months later, his doctor used a word he never expected to hear. You're in remission. He didn't celebrate. He didn't tell many people. He simply nodded, folded the paper with his lab results, and tucked it inside the pocket of his jacket. But this time he smiled. What is remission? What remission means in aging life? Remission in older adults is not a victory march. It is not a cure. It is not a promise that diabetes will never return. It is something quieter, more profound. It is the ability to walk the creek again. It is the confidence to carry groceries without fear of falling. It is the return of appetite, strength, and steadiness. It is the relief of fewer pills lined up on the kitchen counter. It is the feeling of being unclaimed, not youth, but by possibility. For Harold, remission was not about numbers, it was about dignity. The larger truth. Older adults can reach remission, not all, but many. And even those who do not reach full remission can reclaim strength, reduce medications, and live with more ease. The path is not dramatic. It is not flashy. It is not the kind of story that makes headlines. It is the quiet work of rebuilding a life from the inside out. It is the work of honoring an aging body, not demanding it behave like a younger one, but by giving it what it needs to thrive. Harold's story is not rare. It is simply one where we are finally learning to see the epilogue of aging man. One autumn afternoon, Harold returned to the creek. The maple leaves had turned gold, drifting down in slow spirals. The air smelled of earth and cold water. He walked carefully but confidently down the familiar path. He cast his line into the water and felt the quiet settle around him. He was not cured. He was not young. He was not invincible, but he was present. He was steady. He was strong enough. And sometimes in long arc of an aging life, that is what remission truly means. Okay, guys, I'll be back on with C shortly. Give me a bit for that, please. I'll be back on with that for you. For now, Gator Wellness, take care, folks.